Hey guys, this is Kerry, and in this video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding images to our website. So, let's get started. I'm going to open up a new tab, or a new window. I'll go to repl.it. I'll click my three bars here, and I'll go to My Repls, and I'm going to be going to My About Me webpage. Alright, so the first thing you always want to do when you open your web page, right, is press play. That will run your code and build this little website here. As we add pictures, though, it might be useful to pop out this web page by clicking this button right here, which will open in a new tab, and then you can see your whole web page all together. Now, your websites are looking a lot better than mine. They also have a lot more information, but that's not going to stop me from adding images. So there are going to be two different kinds of images that we're going to be adding today. We're going to be adding images from the internet, and then we're also going to be adding an image that maybe we took recently of ourselves, or we took with our phones. That it doesn't have to be ourselves or anything. So I'm going to show you guys how to add this image as well. Alright, but before we do that, adding an image that's already on the internet is easier. So let's get started. Okay, so HTML images. So if you didn't know how to do this, you might look it up, and let's see if this helps at all. Okay, images can improve. This is, okay, they appear on our website. Alright, great. So it looks like this is the tag that we're going to be using. And that's like, it's so cool that you can just look this stuff up and like figure out what you want to do. Now there are a couple of things that we'll need to like finesse and like some details that we'll need to figure out here, but I think we're getting really close to what we want to do right away. So the first image that I'm going to add, let me just add that at the very bottom of my web page. So everything that appears on our web page is between this opening body tag and this closing body tag. So I want to make sure that my image appears in the code before the closing body tag, because then it will make sure that it's on the body of the web page, which is the main part of the web page. So before this closing body tag, and I want to indent it to the same level of indentation as everything else had. So I think it has 2 levels of indentation to match the H3. And I'm going to copy this here, image, and let's just see if it will autocomplete it. IMG looks like the tag, and if I press enter, it doesn't autocomplete it. Maybe I have to press tab for it to autocomplete. It doesn't autocomplete. Alright, well, some code editors do, like the one I have on my computer, but the one we're doing this year, REPL, I guess it doesn't have the autocomplete here. So we have to write a source equal to something in quotes, and then an alt equal to something in quotes, and then we do that. Now what's interesting is you'll notice that there is no closing tag here. So there is no like /img. And the reason why is there's nothing that's going to be inside of the image tags. Instead, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be specifying the source of the image and then the alternate text here. And I'll show you what those do right now. So to make the image appear, we need to say, here's where the image is. Please load that image from that site. So I'm going to look up over here. Let's see, what do I want to find an image of? Let's see, Australian cattle dogs. So if we look at the images here, let's see. Let me click this one, and really interesting. Let me show you the good habit. I'm trying to find a really large image of a cattle dog. So what I'm going to do is I'm hovering over it, and I'm looking at the dimensions down here. I'm trying to find a really large image because I want to show you a problem that will happen with a really large image. So this one's a large image. I don't actually think he's as cute as some of the other ones, but we'll go with this one. All right, so I'm going to do right-hand click or control click and copy image address. And this is going to be a link to where that image is. And if I take that and I paste it in here, I should get a website looking thing that ends in something like .jpeg or .png or .gif. It should be an image ending, so .jpeg here. And that's going to go in between those quotes. This is the source of the image. So it will load, this HTML tag will load whatever image is at that source. And then for the alternate text here, this is a text for not everyone who reads who goes to your site is going to be able to see actually. So there's a type of internet browser called a screen reader, which will actually read out everything on the web page. So if somebody were blind, it would read through the web page. The alternate text here is really useful for screen reader because if somebody were blind, it would tell them that there was an image of an Australian cattle dog in snow. I think it's in snow. All right. So the alternate text is like an alternate text for what happens if the image is not displayed or what happens if somebody cannot see the image. So let's play it and see what happens. Oh my gosh, alright, so even if I pop it out over here, that image is huge. This is going to be a big problem. So this is what I wanted to do with having the large image. So now that we've got the image on our page, we need to add style to it. And if we're thinking about sizing it with the style, that is going to be CSS. So we pop over here. We want to select our IMG tag. And this time we don't want to give it a color, a background color, or align it or anything. What we want to do is we want to make the height of it say something like, let's try 200 pixels, semicolon. And now if we press play, our image will be much more reasonably sized. Notice that I didn't specify a height and a width. I'll show you what the problem is by adding a height and a width. So if I do something like this, it's going to actually distort the image. That looks pretty funny. It's going to distort the image. But if I choose to only do height or width, it will auto do the other one. So by choosing height 200 pixels, I'm auto-calibrating it so that the height and width will both reduce in size, the width proportional to the height. Alright, so we've got our image nicely styled here. One last thing you might want to do with an image is you might want to center it. And unfortunately, if you pop in like a text-align center, doesn't work. It doesn't center the image. Centering an image is kind of silly, like hilariously complex with CSS. It takes 2 lines of code, and they don't really make much sense based on what we know so far. What we're going to do is we're going to say, to center the image, we say display block margin auto. And what that's going to do is block basically means that this element will block everything in its row. It takes up this entire block of space. And then margin auto is it will auto-calibrate the distance on the sides, the margin on the sides, so that this element is in the center of the page. And now we've got our dog nicely centered. Alright, so this is how you add images to the internet, from the internet. Now there's one more thing I wanted to really emphasize about adding these images. Let's say we go back to our web page and we want to switch out our image. I don't really like this guy. Let me click this one here. So I'm gonna, sorry, I've just gotten the good habits already of doing it. But let's say that I accidentally click, so like whenever you add an image from Google, you basically want to add it from this like frame that has the black background. If you don't add it from that frame, if we try to add it directly from over here, let me show you what happens from the tile. We'll copy this image address. I'm going to delete this old source and I'm going to replace it. And what happens is you'll get this crazy looking source file that's like unreadably bad because we took it from this part of the page with the tiles. So I'm going to do a undo, Command Z. And instead we want to take the image from this region right here. So copy this image address. And now if we paste that in, we get a much more reasonable link. And we have the new image there. So you can add as many images as you want. All of the images are going to have this style, this height and centering applied to them. And I put this extra gap there to really highlight that other 2 lines of code was centering. You usually wouldn't have that in CSS. You're welcome to have it though at this point, just to really highlight that those together make the centering. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is I want to show you how to add a picture from your computer. Now this is tricky to do because some of you guys have Chromebooks and I haven't worked very much with those. But I think it's going to work very similarly. So I'll show you how to do it on my Mac and then we can try to figure it out for Chromebooks. So the first thing you want to do is you probably have this photo on your iPhone or camera phone, and so you want to send it to yourself as an email. So once you send it to yourself as an email, you'll get something like this. This is a photo I took this weekend while I was hiking. So, or I didn't take it, but somebody took it of me while I was hiking. So I'm going to download it. I'm going to pop open in the Finder this image. So to add this image, first off, I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to do a control-click rename, and then I'm going to call it like carry.jpg, and I like all lowercase for some reason. Make sure you're not changing the suffix. If it was PNG to begin with, it should stay PNG. If it's JPEG to begin with, it should stay JPEG. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually just drag that image right here, and I'm going to drop it, and now I've added carry.jpg to my website collection over here. So it's actually one of my accessible files. I can click it and it will load it up here. So to add this image, what we're going to do is I'm going to go up here now. Before my basic facts, I want to have this image of me. So I'm going to tab this over, img tag, okay, closed it off. Set it up for myself, source equals, alt equals. The alternate text is going to be carry on Bond Cliff, because that's the name of that mountain. And then source is going to be, oh, hey, how do I get the URL for this image? Well, actually, because it's locally stored, that URL is very easy to access. Because it's in the same folder, it's on this REPL page, it's in the same folder on this REPL page, the source is just the name of the file. And it will load that properly now, hopefully, fingers crossed, carry.jpg. Yeah, nice, alright, so I've got it loaded there. And I can pop over to the full screen version of my site here, and I can see my images. You'll notice that they do have different widths, because they had different proportions, but they have the same height applied to them. And that was the CSS style choice that we made right here with the height. Alright, so with the Chromebook, I think this is a little more complicated. What you're going to have to do with the Chromebook, I think, is instead of being able to drag that file over once you download it to your Google Drive, you'll have to click here and you'll have to do something like upload file. And if you're able to upload the file by clicking this, I think it will bring you to a menu where you can upload it. Now we'll try to debug that in class so you can use your own photos. I've got a couple of other ideas if this doesn't work, but I think that's the basics of images. And what was really cool about that was we were able to kind of just look up online how to add images, and then by figuring some stuff out, add whatever images we wanted to our website. All right, hope this is helpful. Bye.